Ladies and gentlemen, today I would like to invite you to commemorations of the victims of the marital law in Poland, stan wojenny w Polsce. By lighting up a candle in your window or anywhere in your house, just like I do now. I would like to say a few words about what marital law in Poland was. Perhaps none you know. So the marital law in Poland was declared in the period between 13th December 1981 and 22nd July 1983. The government of the Polish People's Republic drastically restricted everyday life by introducing marital law and a military junta in an attempt to counter political opposition, in particular the Solidarity movement in Poland. Thousands of opposition activists were imprisoned without charge, and as many as 91 were killed. Although marital law was lifted in 1983, many political prisoners were not released until a general amnesty, which happened in 1986. In the 1970s, Communist Party was in deep economic recession. First Secretary Edward Gierek took out a series of large loans from Western creditors to achieve a better economic output. And this instead resulted in a domestic crisis. Essential goods were being heavily rationed, which acted as a stimulus to establish the first anti-communist trade union in the Eastern Bloc, known as Solidarność, in 1980. Gierek, who permitted the trade union to appear per the Gdańsk Agreement, was dismissed from his post less than a month later under the pressure from the USSR and confined to house arrest. Poland's already somewhat liberal policies concerning the opposition were worrisome, and hardliners in the neighbouring Soviet Union were not very happy. The latter feared that the Poles may overthrow communism and ally themselves with the Western Bloc. The Soviets were particularly uneasy, as the departure of the most populous nation from Comecon would trigger further financial and economic problems that would bring an end to communist rule in the Eastern Bloc. After a series of strikes and demonstrations by employees of chief industrial regions, Poland was directly heading towards bankruptcy. The Military Council of National Salvation was formed by the first Secretary of the Polish United Workers' Party, General Wojciech Jaruzelski, who was determined to put an end to the demonstrations and crush the opposition by force if necessary. There is speculation whether Jaruzelski instigated marital law to prevent bloodshed if the Soviets and other Warsaw Pact countries were to enter Poland under the Mutual Assistance Treaty, like the Hungarian Revolution of 1956 and the invasion in Czechoslovakia in 1968. On the 13th of December 1981, Jaruzelski announced the introduction of marital law in a televised speech addressed to the entire nation. The Polish People's Army, citizens' militia, ZOMO, special units and tanks rolled onto the streets to scare off demonstrators, begin regular patrols, and maintain curfew. Intercity traveling was forbidden unless a permit was granted by the authorities. Food shortages intensified and censorship was placed again on all media and posts. The Secret Service, Służba Bezpieczeństwa, wiretapped homes, phones, and public booths, phone booths, and state institutions. On the 16th of December, Pro-Solidarity miners organized a strike against the declaration of marital law at the Wujek coal mine in the industrial city of Katowice. The ZOMO squads harshly pacified Wujek, which resulted in 9 miners' deaths. All other demonstrations across Poland were met with an armed force, which utilized water cannons, tear gas, batons, and clubs to disperse crowds and beat protesters. Thousands were detained, and some were tortured in state prisons. On the 31st of August, 1982, in the copper mining town of Lublin, 3 people were mortally wounded. Until the end of marital law, on the 22nd July 1983, approximately 91 people were killed. So this figure varies and it's still debated amongst historians. So today we remember this 91 dead people and many, many, many other people who were physically wounded, who never recovered, all these children at school, all the people at different places who lost their jobs and who never physically recovered from beatings, from prisons. This is for them. Thank you. We remember the best. We remember. We will never forget.